Hi. So, well, isn't this exciting, you know? So, Asmongold made a video about saying like, dude, this guy got the guts to call us wrong. So, who is this guy in question? Darrah. And the video is, your $7 doesn't buy you cruelty. That's very true. Self-evidently true. Because obviously, you buying a product doesn't mean that you get to be cruel to anyone because of it, right? It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to be cruel to anyone when you buy something. It doesn't really make much sense. It doesn't really feel human, you know? Even Darrah says it in the video. But Asmongold, he has a bit of a different opinion. So, are we going to go through this entire video? No. And the reason why I'm not going to go through this entire video and also go through it at 1.5 times speed is because A, he doesn't really say much of anything. All he really says is like, well, I get to be cruel just because. And that's not really much of an argument or anything, right? Like saying like, I can because they're bad isn't really much of an argument, you know? So I don't really necessarily see the point in going through the entire video. I made a video, another one, where I was going through this and just did the entire video. But a lot of the time it was just me repeating the same points and points again, which is kind of the issue with these kind of people. They don't really have anything to say other than like, well, of course you shouldn't harass people. You shouldn't be terrible to people. But like, they made a bad thing and therefore they should, you know, be judged therefore. So we're going to go to a specific point within this video and then like stop from there, because there will be no point in either continuing, because what is the point in going through a video of a guy who, and I'm going to rip the band-aid off right now, is basically, you know, a cruel person himself, basically an evil person, because all he wants to derive the fair satisfaction of what? What is he even being mad about? He's mad that like Dragon Age the Veilguard added trans characters and queer people. He's mad at the directors saying that it's bad to be bad, that it's good to be good. What is bad to be bad? Well, him, basically. He's bigoted. He doesn't like, you know, the other people, and the people he pals around with are also bigoted. So like, there's not much for me to go other than just say like, yeah, it's that, you know? But let's go through the video a bit, show off some of these examples, you know, and then, you know, wrap it up then.
This looks like Jake Paul in 20 years. Bioware calls out the cruelty of fans celebrating layoffs. You are crossing a line, and you're probably attacking the wrong person anyway. Uh-oh. So we're getting called out by the gaming industry. Uh-oh, here it is. Here it is. Let's take a look at it. You don't know the circumstances that resulted in the thing that you're mad at. Darrah is a true Bioware veteran, returning to his consultancy before returning in a consultancy role to shepherd Dragon Age the Veilguard over the finish line. So let me get this straight. This guy is the person who's telling us that we're wrong for thinking that it's good that shitty studios are getting shut down, while he recently was a consultant for...
Right there. Like, oh yeah, this guy's saying like it's bad that we are celebrating the fact that like people, you know, are now jobless. Like, my man, why would you be happy about that, you know? It just doesn't really make much sense to me to be so hyped up for these kind of things, you know?
For Dragon Age the Veilguard, that they had to, because keep in mind, in an investor's earning call, you legally have to tell the truth. They had to say the game really sucked a big dick, right?
So, the only real other point I can really talk about, which is, like, did Dragon Age the Veilguard failed? By sales, yeah, sure. It failed to meet EA's expectations. Now, is that a bad game? Now, I imagine a lot of people, when they hear the statement, quality does not indicate, quality is not indicative of sales, right? Those two aren't, like, related to each other, right? Popularity, like, sales equals popularity, that's true, right? If something is very popular, like, whether that popularity is good or not, sales are normally reflective of it, you know? But, sales do not equal quality. That just isn't the case. And I have to ask people, do you think Titanfall 2 is a good game? A lot of people say yes, it is a good game. But Titanfall 2 failed to meet expectations. By your consistent logic, right, if you would apply it yourself consistently, you would then agree that, yeah, Titanfall 2 is bad because it didn't meet sales expectations. Now you can go on and say like, oh well, there are different factors of it. It was like squished in between two giant titles, Battlefield and Call of Duty, and EA expected too much out of Respawn and all these other things. But here's the thing, right? That's not being consistent. You do not give a shit about the circumstances that created Veilguard. Why care in the instance of Titanfall 2? To explain this discrepancy, because these people will not, is that they're just dumb. They're either, well, not just dumb. And if they aren't just dumb, they know the contradiction, but choose to just accept it. Choose to just go with it. Because they don't want to actually say, like, okay, Veilguard has some good in it, because, you know, a lot of them are just bigoted. And the ones who aren't just bigoted, like, you can just say you don't like the game, you know? Again, you don't get to be cruel. You're not given the right to be cruel. You're a human being after all, aren't you?
Right? And it sucked a mega dick, not a big dick, a mega dick. Okay, he's wearing an Anthem t-shirt. You know what? You know what, guys? Hey, I'm not so bad, huh? How about
okay. This is another thing that a lot of these kind of people just like look for. They look for anything to like discredit someone. So wearing an Anthem shirt apparently is somehow indicative of your, you know, unreliability or lack of credibility, which is like dumb. Like, it doesn't. This guy like is trying to find ways to not really engage with this argument, and you'll see throughout this video, it's like, yes, of course, you don't get to harass people, send death threats, and then he switches so easily, so fruitlessly, that, and it's really dumb that no one calls him out on this, right, in his chat, where it's just like, oh wait, you just like completely didn't understand anything. You're literally a moron. Like, my man, you do realize that you just said, hey, you don't get to harass people, but we're going to celebrate someone's, you know, newfound joblessness. Which is weird, man. Like, why?
about that? You know, oh yeah, I liked Avowed more than a lot of other people did. Oh, you know, everybody but this is outrageous. Like, I look like a fucking wizard. I look like a patrician fucking, like, historian of video games compared to this. This is crazy. The shirt's cool. It is a cool shirt, but it's the wrong shirt. Okay? Yeah, this is nuts. During his latest video, however, the subject of more toxic element. Where is it here? Darrah's latest video. Where's his video? Where's his fucking video? The video is called $70 Doesn't Buy You Cruelty. Okay, let's see if we can find this. Stop harassing developers. Where's he saying? This should be obvious.
Did you read the title? Did it say something like your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. The fact that you bought a game that you didn't like doesn't give you the right to be cruel or unkind to the people that developed that game. Now, I'm going to be clear about something. I'm not saying that you have to like the thing you bought. I'm not saying even that you aren't allowed to complain about the thing you bought. You can have whatever opinion that you feel like.
Apparently not.
Game. Even if
stuff like this, man, makes me so like so sad. Like, you can have any opinion you want, okay, sure. Apparently not. It's like, what? Can you even say that, man? Like, how can he be this stupid and his chat be this stupid to like think he's like that smart, or like that he has like the right gist of the opinion, right? Because like, I just don't get that, you know? Like, Mark Darrah is literally saying, yeah, have your opinion, man. You can dislike the game. I don't care. Just don't be cruel. That's all he said. And now it's like this spun up tale of how, no, we're not allowed our opinion. No, we can't have it. And yes, it's actually right that we can be mean and actually celebrate these terrible people losing their jobs, and that like, now they don't really make any more games because of that. It's an incentive that means no developer will do that ever again. Which is like, one, that's terribly wrong of you as like a human decency too. And two, they weren't even the ones who made most of the decisions for Veilguard, right? Veilguard being a live service game, that wasn't on them. But you know what? This guy doesn't care about the construction of the game. He doesn't care about anything else but beyond it being woke. I guarantee you, if Dragon Age Veilguard didn't have any of the woke elements, he would have fucking ignored it. He would have ignored it. They're like, oh, it doesn't look like for me, and then just gone away. This guy is not an RPG fan of like Bioware games, right? He talks about Dragon Age like how some new person who finds out this new thing talks about it. He has no knowledge of it, right? It's just, to me, so terrible that this discourse has been spun up like this again because of morons like him, right? And that like there are even greater morons that just don't believe him, you know? It's just,
if that opinion is stupid and wrong, you are entitled
Apparently
to that opinion.
not.
And to some degree, you're entitled.
Well, I mean, Mark Darrah isn't wrong.
To express that opinion to the corporation, to the video game studio that created this game that you bought.
But
you pay 70 of your own dollars to the video game studio that created this game that you bought.
But
you pay 70 of your
Like, you can see how antagonistic he is, just like Mark Darrah, for saying the simplest thing of like, oh yeah, you can have your opinion, but like, just don't be cruel. Like, literally, Mark Darrah's entire video didn't need to be like this long, right? Mark Darrah's video just needed to be like, what, a minute? Like, it could have been a YouTube short. Just like, hey, your $7 doesn't buy you cruelty, obviously, and you can have your opinion, obviously, and that's it. But no, Mark Darrah had to lay it on thick, so morons like this guy just wouldn't like say the dumb shit that they say, and he still says it anyways because he's a moron, right? He's a moron and a bigot, and a person who just says like, oh, I hate trans people, I hate queer people, I don't like forced diversity into my video games. It's like, what forced diversity? All that Veilguard did was just like have trans characters exist. Sure, they had a trans story in Tosh, but like, that's just that existing. This guy doesn't actually give any care about the quality of the game. He just cares about, oh, were there trans people in my video game? Cool. If Veilguard didn't have that, he just wouldn't have talked about it, you know?
Your own dollars for this game, and it disappointed you.
Yeah.
And you're angry about that. That is fine. You are entitled to be angry about
Thank
it.
you.
And you're
Thank you.
entitled to
Thank you.
express that anger in...
Well, I'm glad he agrees. Yeah, I totally agree with him. Absolutely. Yeah, said abuse from players. So in Darrah.
And again, it's so odd to me that, like, again, he can't say much of anything, and he's gonna like walk back on it now. Let's quickly see that.
This video, here's another subject. The more toxic elements of video game fandom, which are much more of an issue of developers than players might think. In a 2023 GDC survey of game developers, 91% of respondents said abuse from players was a problem, and if we're being honest, we've seen people go way over the top at developers online. Well, here's the thing, though, and this is, dude, Mark Curran is right about this. Tell that to the devs who are posting anti-white hatred, attacks on gamers, and death.
And there it is. There it is. The entire point of this entire thing. It's not about the game, actually. It was never about the game. It's literally just about politics. And it's... like, yeah, man. Oh yeah, tell that the devs who are posting anti-white hatred, attacks on gamers, and death threats. Where has this been happening? Where has this been happening? This has not been happening. The most I remember was a Mass Effect Andromeda developer who said some, like, iffy comments. But that's one guy. One guy. Compared to these guys who have made like campaigns just hating on developers, you know, and who've literally sent death threats to them and are literally celebrating the loss of their jobs. Like, these people are morons. They're evil morons, you know. Like, and like death threats to Magna. Like, what do you mean, dude? I'm sorry, man. We're not babying these motherfuckers, okay? We're not like gonna coddle them like, ooh. No. MAGA is currently destroying America. It is. Objectively is. If you disagree, I'm sorry. You're just a moron who's bought into it and you're falling for it. You're falling for the lies. I'm sorry, man. You're not going to have a great life because your country's going to be ruined. And if you aren't in America, my man, you're hastening the deaths of millions. Legitimately, you are. And I'm not going to like coddle you and say, oh, you might have... No, because you're just wrong. I'm not going to entertain these ideas of people being maybe right because you're actually just wrong, you know? It's like, I'm sorry. And additionally, no one is sending death threats to MAGA. They're not. They're pitying you more than anything because you're a fucking sheep who's been led to the slaughterhouse. Like, my man, you have eyes. Open them up. But nah, man. These people just like... just don't care, you know? They have their opinions, and they're just going to accept it like that, you know? They're going to kill themselves. And again, this whole thing is just that. It's not actually about the video game or anything like that. So much nuance of this discussion is just, like, evaporated.
Threats to MAGA. That's the problem. Is it takes two to tango here. Is you have these developers that...
Okay.
They're constantly demonizing video players, and these people don't get fired. They post extremist political opinions.
Yeah, you are cruel. You are just cruel, my man. Like, he's trying to, like, yeah, don't say death threats, but, like, they're doing these made-up things I'm making up, and I want them fired. And, like, yeah, man, sure.
Fucking constantly. And they demonize the players, they talk down to the players, they're patronizing, and then you're surprised that the players say, hey, you know what, we don't like this? Is this a...
Again, the thing they dislike is literally, oh, there are queer people and trans people in a video game. That's it. That's the end all and be all. It's just that. And that is genuinely really sad. Like, my man, like, what am I supposed to say other than just, like, you're an evil person. You're an evil, stupid person. You're the worst kind of person. You don't have the intelligence to at least, like, have some grand design, you know? And I'm not just speaking to Asmongold, I'm speaking to a lot of people who agree with this, right? It's just so sad, you know? I can't drum up any rage inside me because I know these people are going to hurt themselves more than anyone else, you know? Like, they're lambs leading themselves to the slaughter.
Fucking joke? What do you mean? They can't handle the truth. Yes, I know, it's nuts. How is this even possible? So PC Gamer, $70 doesn't buy you cruelty. Basically, he's not talking about folks criticizing a game they paid for it. Darrah's issue is about fans having to right to target random developers who work in the studio at a given title, even when you don't know the circumstances that result in the thing that you're getting mad at. I'm sure that to some degree this is true, but when you...
I'm sure to some degree this is true. My man, you are putting literally zero effort into this, my man. Like, anyone with a fucking brain cell can just go like, okay, Dragon Age Veilguard development, and look it up. Dragon Age the Veilguard was a live service game. It was. It objectively was. And why was it a live service game? Because of EA. EA forced them to be a live service game. Because when they were helping Anthem, they thought, we wanted Dragon Age to be a billion-dollar franchise. And you know how we do that? Not by a single-player game. Single-player games are objectively good at selling video games. Like, literally look at any single-player game ever, right? And you can just see that, like, they're successful. A live service, especially for Dragon Age, is not the direction, you know? But for some reason, they wanted to do that. It was EA's fault that Dragon Age Veilguard was a live service game, and then it had to wrench itself from it free. Like, again, you don't even know the circumstances in which the game is made. And this guy's gonna make a garnish spiel about, like, what does it matter? You know? It's genuinely just, like, so terrible.
See a developer or somebody that works at a company post something that's fucking racist, and then you say, hey, this guy's a piece of shit.
The racist comment in question is, oh, they don't like it when bad things happen, and they don't like bad people. The bad people, white racist. Like, I'm sorry, man. I can't beat around the bush. When I originally made this video, right, when I first did my first take on it, I was dancing around it too much, and I just didn't like that, you know? I don't want to dance around the idea that, oh yeah, there might be some truth, or I'm trying to, like, no. There's just nothing to this. There is literally nothing to this, you know?
Is this really what the problem is? Is this really a problem? What are we talking about here? You cross a line when you start being cruel about it. You don't need to go out of your way to cause harm to other people because of a video game. Obviously, nobody's... No, what do you mean? Who's support...
My man, you literally said, yeah, and these people should be fired for being mean to me. I don't want consequences to me being a hateful person. I don't want consequences. Like, my man, you're literally doing the bit, you know? And either you're too stupid to do it, or you're profiting off of people who are too stupid to realize it themselves, you know? And this goes for, like, a lot of other people, you know? Obviously, most people aren't, like, profiting off this, so they're just regular stupid, you know?
Supporting this. Nobody's supporting harming somebody. This isn't it. Yeah, all these guys aren't allowed to have your own opinions. It's like these things don't like. It's physically pointing out that you're being angry at a specific person, you're attacking a specific person is often misdirected. So, yes, in some cases, this is true.
In some cases, this is true. Like, I don't know, man. It is true. Like, you can just look it up. The people on Dragon Age Veilguard were not the ones who made the issues, right? This guy skipped it in the video, right? Where he basically skips over Mark Darrah saying, oh, a very oddly specific... And Mark Darrah says he can't confirm if it's true or not, but I think it's true. He says, and maybe the CEO of the entire company wants to hire his nephew as a script consultant, and then the script consultant has no experience whatsoever and demands mandatory changes. Like my man. Like, it's not Bioware's fault. Bioware is the victim in this situation. But like with most of these people, they don't care about that. They take satisfaction in cruelty, you know? And that's the thing I think is very emblematic, you know? They want to be cruel because they're satisfied when they're cruel, right? There's this like idea called like Schadenfreude. I'm not pronouncing it particularly well, where it's like you take joy in like others suffering, right? And these are people to the T, you know? Sometimes we all like do that. Like if Adolf Hitler died, I'm like, okay, Adolf Hitler died. I mean, like, Adolf Hitler died, right? I don't particularly mind that much, you know? But these people are being cruel to people who have done nothing wrong. They say they're racist. They're not, man. They're adopting the language of, like, progressivism, because progressivism is, like, pretty popular, right? Like, most people are progressive, you know? And so they're adopting that language because they know it works, you know? And, like, they're just wrong in it, right? These people are not racist. They're not bigoted. They're not hateful. All they said was, it's bad when literally Adolf Hitler is taking over a country. Like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. I also agree when that's bad, you know? But no, because they're on the side of Adolf Hitler.
But what about the cases where it's somebody who works at a company? See, this is where I'm at, okay? And this is me being logical. So if I think about this and I think to myself, oh, okay. So what the problem is here is that the people that are working at the company might not all deserve the same treatment that this person does. Here's what the problem is. It's that that person doesn't get fired.
And that person doesn't get fired. Yeah. Listen, it's okay. I'm not saying people should like harass or be hateful or harm people. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that they should be fired if they do anything dumb. It's like, my man, you're so fucking idiotic, you know. And anyone who like believes anything he says is so idiotic, right? Like, and again, we're not even talking about the game, you know. That's what frustrates me. I thought we were gonna talk about the game at least. I had like an entire bit, like in my original video, where I talked about the game, and it was just like not part of it, right? Because like he's not even talking about anything, right? He's not talking about Dragon Age. He's talking about culture war bullshit, you know. Like and like he's on the wrong side of it, you know. He's on the side of Adolf Hitler. It's like okay, but for a moment, let me just like talk about the game, just to like Dragon Age Veilguard, right? I think is a good game, but with a lot of missed opportunities. I think that's the best description of it. It should have been a lot more, but what it is good. And I think one way to illustrate like the desire for more is something like this, right? This panel of concept arts, right, is full of things I would have wanted so much into it. Solus, you know, it is back being the Dread Wolf, right? The mythical of legends. Here's our character being face to face with Solus. Here is the person who is left in the Fade, whether that be like Loghain, Stroud, Alistair, or Hawk, like coming back in the next game. I would have loved all of these things, right? These things would have been amazing. And that, I think, is something we can talk about, right? But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about the game, actually. And additionally, the game isn't bad. Sure, the game could have been better, and I wanted it to be better, and there's a lot of parts where I disagree with it, you know? But, like, I don't know, man. This is so much just, like, awful cultural bullshit disguised as, like, cultural war stuff that's, you know, being the front for, like, just bigotry, you know? Because whether this guy, like, hates, actually believes in what he says and whatnot doesn't matter to me, because the outcome is still the same. It hurts a lot of people, you know, and that's just like awful, you know. He's an awful person.
That person doesn't get fired. There's nothing that happens about it at all. That's it. That's the issue. It's the director. Yeah, it's the director making personal statements like this.
I'm not sure if they're referring to Corin Bush or John Epler, because I don't really think they even care about the difference. But Corin Bush or John Epler saying like, hey, it's bad if you're a fascist or, you know, Adolf Hitler is not a bad take. I'm sorry that you feel like personally attacked when they say that, because if you are literally Adolf Hitler, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm not gonna coddle you. I'm not gonna be like your mother, okay? Because I'm not. You're just a moron. You know? Like, okay, man, sure. Sure, man, sure. You know, and look at how much he's trying to, like, justify his cruelty, you know? He's trying his hardest. His hardest. And he's not, and he's failing still. He's failing so much.
Yeah, it's insane. Why should we as consumers care about their circumstances?
Certain channels.
And there it is. One of the bits I want to talk about is like the circumstances, right? It is very important to learn about the circumstances of these developers for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that, like, it's just decent human empathy, right? We as humans are social creatures, right? We care about each other, and like, even if we don't know each other personally, it's like an abstract sense, right? And additionally, it's also like good that everyone is, you know, in a good spot, because again, society is a filled with boats, and everyone's on water. When the water rises up, we all go up. When the water goes down, we all go down. Developers having good conditions just makes everyone's lives better, even if you're not personally affected or haven't like played a video game at all or whatever. Doesn't mean that it isn't good to care about their conditions and their circumstances, you know. And two, or three in this case, it makes your purchasing decisions much better. Let's say you are, you know, wanting to buy local, right? You're going to a local store and you want to buy local products and all that kind of stuff. You have to understand the sort of production and where these products come from to make that decision. So, for people who want to support developers, you know, that are being treated well and that who are, you know, being given fair wages and all that kind of stuff, you will have to look up and see the circumstances they're in. Like, oh, okay, like Larian, for example. Larian is a pretty good example of this, and they are a studio that, like, you know, treats their workers very well, have a really good production, and also, like, aren't unethical, right? There are some issues from what I know, not like too big or anything like that, some here and there, but for the most part, it's a pretty good studio, and like for a consumer, that's important to understand, you know, because then you know who to support and who not to support. But you just saying like you don't care about the circumstances just like throws all those out the window. And again, they will never disagree with this, but they do disagree with this because of cultural bullshit. You know? That's literally it, man.
Yeah.
If you are mad at that Ubisoft game, be mad at Ubisoft. Express your anger to Ubisoft or to the studio that made the game.
Yeah.
But you cross a line when you start being cruel about it.
What does this mean?
So why am I saying?
What do you mean I can't be cruel flat-footedly? What do you, huh? I'm confused. I'm 5.
You don't get to be cruel because you spent $70. Let's walk through it. 1, you shouldn't be cruel at all. What are you doing? It's a video game. You don't need to go out of your way to
He ain't wrong.
cause harm to other people because of a video game that you don't like.
I don't
Again,
like this word harm because it's like you were talking about harm, like these are internet comments. I don't think anybody's supporting actual violence or threats.
My man, you literally said, hey, they should be fired. For what exactly? Because they hurt your fifis. Oh, ain't you ashamed? Oh, yay, fifis were harmed. Oh, like Asmongold, to grow some thick fucking skin. I'm sorry, man. If you don't want to be called a Nazi, and you don't want your pals or people you like being called Nazis or something like that, then don't associate with them, or own up to it. I don't know. Don't be a coward. It's like, I don't know, man.
Nobody's really supporting this. Somebody thinks this. There are some people that think this. They're crazy.
I'm not
You think it, so I therefore you must be crazy then, hey?
saying you're not allowed to be angry about it. I'm not saying you don't get to express your dissatisfaction with the content of the game that you're not enjoying. But when you climb into someone's personal social media and start actively attacking that person.
Well, what happens if that person's saying something you don't like?
And here it is. And here it is. What I wanted to talk about. What if they say something I don't like? Riddle me that, Darrah. It's like, what if they said something I don't like? What a fucking argument defeater, man. Yeah, you don't get to be cruel no matter what, okay? What if they say something I don't like? I thought so. Like, no shit, man. You don't get to say, you don't get to be fucking cruel, even if they say something you don't like, okay? Like, I'm not a big fan of Destiny, right? Because I don't like, you know, live service shooter-looter games, right? I mean, well, shooter-looters, that's a bit of a different story. But, like, online specifically, right, I don't like it at all. But I'm not gonna, like, be miffed at someone who says they like Destiny, right? Because why would I? You know, I'm not a fucking 5-year-old. You know, I'm not, like, back in, like, preschool saying whose dad can beat who up, you know? I'm not doing that. I've grown up, you know? Asmongold and the people who follow him and the people like him clearly haven't grown up at all, you know? It's like, fine, whatever. But now they have to, like, make it our problems, you know? Like, it's so self-evidently bad. I don't know what to say, you know? And this is the whole video. The whole video is like this, where he's just, like, making pathetic defenses of, well, but what if they deserve it? You know, it's like, no. The only time, like, the bare minimum, the only time someone deserves, like, to be crueled against is, like, if they're literally Adolf Hitler. And none of the Bioware developers are literally Adolf Hitler. Maybe, like, one guy or something like that. There's always, like, one Hitler in the group. Am I right, guys? Am I right, guys? And maybe that one Cullen voice actor who was, like, a transphobe. But, like, that's it? Like, I'm sorry, man. I just, I can't squeeze more blood out of this stone. It's just, there's nothing in there. It's a stone. I can't do much of anything. It's so self-evidently terrible that it just baffles my mind that people, like, accept this. You know? It's just, I don't know what to do. I genuinely, I mean, well, I'm making this video just to, like, talk about it, you know, because, like, it just baffles me, you know? And, yeah, I'm gonna go for, like, a few more bits, then I'm just gonna stop and just, like, move on, right? And like, actually talk about the video game.
Are you not allowed to criticize people for saying things on social media?
Criticize what, man? I, Coring Bush, think trans people are fine. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Can you believe this person? Can you believe this person? They think trans people are fun?
In public spaces that you disagree with? What is this?
You celebrate layoffs at a studio because the game that you don't like didn't do that well.
Like, you don't get to celebrate the layoffs. Yes, I can. Yeah, I should be able to. I should be allowed to. Yes. Like, my man, like, a smarter person would be able to navigate what Darrah said much more effectively than this guy. But no, he's not a smarter person because, like, being an evil person rots your brain, you know? There are very few very smart evil people, right? They're very few, you know? Because being evil, who'd have thunk it, makes you stupid. Makes you really fucking moronic, you know? Who knew? Who knew? This guy didn't know.
That's good. That's good, because that means that there's not going to be more games like that, and it sets an example for the industry.
Yeah, and this is the last thing I'll talk about. So, the gaming industry is not what it was back in the 90s, 2000s, or 2010s. It's just not. The gaming industry is big enough where you can just have all types of games. We're not back in the era where one game dictated the circumstances of all games. We're not back in 2011 where Skyrim just released and now every single video game has to have an open world to some degree. We're not back in that time. Because, who do you think it? Okay, well, AAA games are different, but we'll talk about that now. But we have much more. Expedition, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is a turn-based RPG. That hasn't been, like, a big thing for so fucking long. You know, for so long. And you know what? Now we have a lot of turn-based games coming out. Now it's obviously in development during around Baldur's Gate 3 and whatnot, but we're getting a lot of it now. Expedition 99 is one of them, and that looks like pretty cool, you know? There's a lot of turn-based games coming back, and people who wanted that are getting that. Maybe not in the AAA space, but they're getting it still, you know? Same with a lot of other games. More games can exist now. We can have multiple kind of games coexisting. And like, the gaming industry is big enough, right? And additionally, the guy's comment on, hey, it's sensitive or not to do, what does he not want to happen? He doesn't want trans people or queer people to exist. That's like, literally, like, genocidal, almost. Like, you can't say that. Like, you're literally an evil person. I just can't say anything more than that, other than just like, they're evil and hate you. They want you dead, right? Like, I'm a white dude. I'm a straight white dude. It's this white dude. You know? And like, I'll be fine, right? But for so many people, they just hate them and want to kill them. Because why? I don't know. Regardless, they shouldn't be allowed to have any position of power, you know? Asmongold most certainly doesn't deserve what he's gotten, you know? And that's just like, to me, the whole point of this, right? We haven't even been able to like talk about the game or circumstances or anything like that. I thought this video would be a lot more smarter, but no, it's just more terrible arguments. And this is just the entire video. Like, within this, like, I can see how long I've been recording. I've recorded for like 37 minutes, and I've already passed this like 24-minute thing. Just like actually trying to explain how things work, function, and like just pull actual arguments. All he does is like, but what if I want to be Adolf Hitler? I don't want people to be mean to me when I want to be Adolf Hitler. I want to be Adolf Hitler, commander of the Third Reich. Please. Really, please. I'm like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. No, you can't be Adolf Hitler. No, you can't be someone who just hates trans people because. No. If you want to actually talk about the game, then talk about the game. Which leads me into my next thing. There are issues with Dragon Age Veilguard, and the developers recognize it. When looking at on Dragon Age Veilguard, is there any part of you that wishes you spent more time on it? For me, it's about the Antom from John Epler, about the Antom and their split, and the rest of the Qunari. There are elements of the story that, in both Crow's content and Tasha's personal quest, but in the dream world, having the Bend House as an additional faction, albeit one you didn't know if you could trust, would be nice. Cool. And for myself, I certainly share some of the desire the community has, going deeper on romances and more choices to import from Corrin. Like, these developers know what's wrong with their game. They know what's wrong with their game. They wanted to do more. But EA fucked them over, you know? And that is what Mark Darrah was talking about through the entire video on why your $70 doesn't be cruel. It doesn't give you cruelty. Because not only is it just the wrong thing to do, you're not even directing at the right person. You're not directing at the right person. You're literally throwing shots at people who could do nothing but just try their best to mitigate the damage. I just, you know, and that's all I have to say. You know, I like Bioware a lot. I love Bioware games a lot. They're the type of like RPG that just really gels with me. And not that I don't enjoy other RPGs, I do enjoy them. But like, I enjoyed Bioware games so much more readily. And I really wish there was more of them. But there are not going to be a lot of them, you know. Other studios have been picking them up, like Spider Studios have been picking them up. But like, I will miss like Bioware specifically. I do concern myself that like, maybe Bioware will not exist, will not be able to release Mass Effect 5. You know, or Mass Effect 5 will be even more compromised than Veilguard. You know? It sucks. But, you know, I'm happy with what Bioware did. And for anyone who, like, worked on Bioware or anything like that, or for, like, Dragon Age fans, you know, like, Dragon Age Veilguard wasn't what all of us wanted, but we got, like, a resolution to all of the things we wanted. From lore questions to Solus's, like, and I want to honestly say, one of the most beautiful endings Bioware has made, you know? And yeah, there's not much else to say. If you like me screaming into the void, perhaps like the video. If you didn't, well, there's a button next to that as well. Also, maybe subscribe if you like it even more. comment down below. What do you think? You know, what do you think about this whole thing? And I guess like a question I want to ask is just like, what games? Let's ask that one. What games are you looking forward to, Bioware like or not? You know, and like let's just share in this joy, because so much of these people are just like hate mongers, right? They want you to not enjoy life and just like have a constant cruel suffering downward spiral for everything. So let's talk about that, you know. What games are you looking forward to? A game I'm looking forward to specifically is Exodus, because it's pretty cool, you know. I mean, it looks like Andromeda, right? And I like Andromeda, right? So, I mean, a match. You know, I'm looking forward to Greedfall 2, though that's probably gonna only be finished later on. And also, it's pretty good because like Greedfall 2 is in early access, which means it'll get a lot of support, and I hope people support the game because I do like Spider Studios. I know I'd like, you know, them to do it. Also, beg Spider Studios for another Bound by Flame sequel or a remake, okay? Please, I desire Bound by Flame, okay? Please. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it.